Welcome to Dan the Road Trip Guy. I'm your host, Dan, and each week we'll embark on a new adventure, discovering memory and life lessons of our incredible guests. From everyday travelers to thrill seekers and everyone in between, this podcast is your front row seat to inspiring stories of passion, resilience, and the pursuit of happiness. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. I am confident you're going to enjoy today's episode. The guest is John Stewart Hill. John is the founder of the Good Contractors List.com. It's a place where homeowners can find good contractors, and John's company backs the job with a $25,000 guarantee. They've been in business for 14 years. But the interesting thing is about John's story, when he basically asked God to take him from this planet. But God had a totally different plan for John's life, and John has been living a life on purpose ever since. Again, I believe you're going to enjoy this episode, and be sure to stick around for John's advice at the end. Welcome to the show, John.
Very good to be here. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. We don't know each other, but we're going to after this little virtual road trip we're on. So take a couple minutes and just tell my listeners, who is John Hill?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. I feel like I'm a guy that has gotten a second chance to do something good. I'm a man of purpose now. I used to be the guy that would look at his past and be disappointed and look at his future and not really see anything bright. And today I'm the guy that am happy to be here present. I know that I have purpose in every minute of my day, and I live my life with gratitude. So that's who I am right now.
That's great. And we'll get to the details in a moment. This is Dan the Road Trip Guy, John. And first question out of the gate is always, tell me about your first car or a funny car story.
Well, I was raised in a pretty low income family. My mom babysat for a living, and my dad worked at a gas station for $3 an hour. So I really didn't have a lot of funds to buy a great car. And so I ended up selling a lamb that I was raising for FFA. And I made enough money to buy a real awesome junk. It was 1969 Chevy Nova. Green. It was the ugliest thing you ever saw. And what I loved about it is that, the engine had so many miles on it. It was so ready to break down when I first bought it that I used to do this thing with my friends in the car, and I go, turbo boost. And then I would hit the gas, and it would take like 3 or 4 seconds before it actually realized I'd pushed the gas pedal, and then it would just go. So it's a great memory, though. It was a fun first car. It was automatic, and it did have turbo boost. I just had to slam my foot on the gas really fast and hesitate. And rock.
Now, the interesting thing is if you had that car today, it'd probably be worth a little bit.
It might be. It wasn't worth much back then, though.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing that. Tell me about an epic road trip or just a road trip that just stands out in your mind. Do you have one of those?
Well, really, I do. And it didn't take long to figure it out. A few years ago, I went on a ministry trip where we were doing an all-night worship session. And then we were out in Buffalo, New York, and we decided we wanted to go see Niagara Falls. So I'd never been to Canada. We're in a car full of people. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 of us in there. I can't remember how many exactly. And we start to go across the border at Canada. And like, we don't have to have passports. He goes, oh no, as long as you have the new Texas driver's license, you can get across. Well, it was bad information. And we get up to the gate, and then they say, okay, we need to detain you. And they literally, because none of us had passports, we all showed our Texas IDs, and they looked at us like we were stupid. Stupid Americans, get over here into Canada. And they so that we had to pull off on the side of the road down by the police station. They came and took all of our IDs, disappeared. And we were pretty scared. We were like, I don't even know how we're going to get out of here. And so they actually called it detaining us. And I was like, oh no, we're going to be put in jail or something. So we sat there for a minute, and it was probably about a good hour. They just let us sit there. And they finally came back out, handed us all of our driver's license. And I said, and he goes, okay, you're free to go. And I'm like, so how do we get back out of here? And they were like, well, you don't want to see Niagara Falls? Yeah, I'm like, well, I thought you said we could. And he's like, no, we used your IDs to do background checks on y'all. So we ended up getting to go see Niagara Falls, but we were all just sitting there shaking, like, what's going to happen? We need to call our families and tell them we're detained in Canada.
Yeah, come and get us.
Yeah, right.
Fun story. Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a brief conversation, and you were telling me about a time in your life when you just kind of given up. I guess is the best way to put it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Take me there.
I was raised in a Pentecostal church. I don't know if you know too much about the Pentecostal denomination, but it's very strict. And so part of that is that I really never felt like I could live up to the potential of being what I was supposed to be. I could never be perfect. The way I understood it, it was black and white to me. If I get to heaven and there's a mark on my book, it's sorry, see you later. You're going the other place, you know? And so,
sure.
And so by the time I got to be a teenager and started realizing that, you know, I knew the Bible, I was listening to those sermons. And if I even think something bad, it's just as bad as committing adultery. And, you know, so I had all these things going through my mind. And so I lived a life kind of based on performance. I always looked at the past and going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm the worst Christian. I'm a bad example. I'm never going to make it to heaven. By the time I was 42, I'd been divorced 3 times. I never really had a career that I was able to pull together. You know, I worked odd jobs and worked in sales, selling yellow pages. At the time, I was selling coupons into, you know, those envelopes that they send the coupons. And so I was selling those. And just feeling like an absolute loser, you know, I didn't know if I was a Christian anymore. I basically was homeless and had moved in with my girlfriend. And so for 2 months in the beginning of 2011, I prayed that God would take me off this planet. I was like, you know, I don't want to commit suicide. You know, that's a straight ticket there. But God, I don't want to be here anymore. And I prayed that he would take me. And so at that place, February 4th of 2011, I actually ended up having a heart attack. It was unexpected. I thought I was in pretty decent shape. So I was taken to the hospital. And in this whole process, I felt like God said, well, John, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And he gave me that choice. But there was part of me that I could hear. You know, we don't hear audible voices most of the time. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it was such a strong voice inside that it didn't seem to be coming from me at all. And and this is what I kept hearing over and over in my head. If you decide to stay, I'll be with you and I'll give you a purpose. And there at my lowest, I had that opportunity to repent and have a clean record. You know, I was like, I'm about to die. If I choose to die right now, I'll die with a clean record. But I really felt like he wanted me to stay. So I made a deal with him. And I said, okay, God, I'll stay if that's all right with you. And but I don't want to be the same guy that I've been. I want to be remembered for doing something good. I want to live every day, not just be alive. And I want to touch as many lives as I can the rest of the time that I'm on this planet. And even louder than the voice that was saying, I'll be with you, I heard, so be it. It rang in my ears. And this is during a big freeze. So it took an hour for the cardiologist to get in. This is 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
So nobody was expecting me to live. And he came in, I had 100% blockage in one artery, 95% blockage in the other artery. And he's like, I don't even know if I can fix this. But he said, I may have to crack you open. I don't know what to do. And he goes, I'm going to try stents first. And so he went up there, put in stents, and it actually worked. And so blood returned to my body. My heart was tragically like scarred, critically scarred. They had to put in a pacemaker defibrillator to keep me alive because it was 40 to 50% heart damage. But that's what I walked out of the hospital with, all those things behind me, with one thing in mind: God's going to be with me. Even though I've not lived a perfect life, I know he's here, and he says he'll give me a purpose. So I believe him.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've lived my life knowing every day that I could go and I'd be happy as I could be.
Wow.
But if I'm here, I'm still here for a purpose.
He talked about performance and rules. And do you think a lot of people that grew up in the church, they heard that, and maybe that's hampered their faith walk?
Yeah. Well, I think so, because, grace is so amazing. Amazing grace, but it is. He doesn't look at our performance. Our righteousness is solely dependent on who lives in us, right? So I don't have to worry about if I make a mistake now I have to wallow in it, or I have to give up, or any of those things. I already know that I've been made righteous because Christ lives in me and I have faith in him. And the Bible clearly says that we have been crucified with Christ. We no longer live, but it's Christ who lives in us, and we live by faith in him who loved us and gave his life for us. In that, I put all my faith. So good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. I'm righteous because of who I have faith in, and because he is the one who is my righteousness. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a different life.
That. Yes, very different. Well, we'll switch gears a little bit. Thank you for that. You're the founder and I believe ambassador is what's listed on your website of the Good Contractors List. Did I get
Yes,
that
sir.
right?
That's right.
That was intriguing when I saw that, and how you've built that, where
Yeah.
the idea come from. Just take us on that whole journey.
So, after the hospital, I came back not knowing what it was I was going to do. I was selling coupons, never owned a business, didn't have any money, didn't have any experience, didn't have education, like everything that you would expect from someone who's going to start and have a successful business. You'd have to have all those things, right? But I didn't. All I knew is that I had a purpose. And so while I was working selling these coupons, I was talking with a plumber that said, you know what, I can't really afford to do this whole program by myself, but I have an electrician and a roofer that I trust with all I have, and I would be willing to share an ad with them. And so all I can say is it was like God downloaded the plan into my mind. Like I saw it. I was like, well, and it really just started out because I was trying to sell a coupon. I was like, well, what if we built a website where you're the only plumber, you're the only, and we could make a group of good contractors that all trust each other, and then y'all can go in together and buy ads. Every day after that, I just kept getting more and more downloads that this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm like, I've never been chosen for management. What do you mean I'm going to go out and start a company? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any money, but I knew it was God. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I went to my boss. I was an outside sales selling coupons, and I had the opportunity to test it out to see if I could sell this while I was getting paid by this other company. But I was like, that's not the right thing to do. That's not integrity. I went in and I quit my job. We had no money in the bank, no savings. I had one more paycheck coming to me. And I walked out with a yellow legal pad and a pen and went and started talking to contractors and started sharing with them the download God had given me, this way that I could separate the good guys from the bad guys. And what was even funnier is I said, and we're going to guarantee your work. Like, we're going to put a guarantee on your work that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then I'm going to have to pay. And I'm like, I don't even know where this money's going to come from because I don't have any. But this is the vision that I've been given. And, it's like, all I can say is it had God's favor on it from day one. People saw it. There's nobody in the nation that has ever tried to guarantee a contractor's work and actually stand between a homeowner and a contractor. It's like, I had so many people saying that's the dumbest business plan I've ever heard. You're limited on who you can bring in, and you're putting yourself at risk on every job they do. That's ridiculous. And I said, well, that's what God told me, so I'm going to go do it, And so I didn't listen to all the smart people. I went out there and started talking to contractors, and they got on board with me. And this is in 2011. We actually started the Good Contractors List on 11/11/11.
Wow.
So we just had our 14th year. We had our 4th annual 10-year dinner. And so we have people who I walked in with a notepad that are still with me today here in the DFW area. And God has just blessed it. And we are now going national, which just blows my mind. And what is so exciting about being able to be on podcasts like this is that now anywhere in the United States, we can start building safe contractor communities like we have here in DFW. So I'm really excited about it.
Maybe those first guys that signed on with you and you had this guarantee, did you tell them, hey, try to make sure you do a great job because
of course.
I don't have any money.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's the whole point. And, after 14 years of being between a homeowner and contractors, I'm finding that there's a lot more good contractors out there than we know. And a lot of guys that get labeled bad are not bad contractors. And what really happens is that because there's so many horror stories out there, homeowners go into any kind of contracting job feeling like, oh, I hope I don't end up being one of those horror stories. I hope I'm not made a fool of, and that's really, people don't want to be that person that fell for it.
Right.
And so what I've been able to do is see that with a third party in between a homeowner and contractor, just us being there because we get involved. Like if there's a problem, we get involved. And matter of fact, we've backed over $5 billion worth of work to date. Wow. So it's been quite a ride. 99+% of issues that escalate into really bad things are fixed by there being someone else there that the homeowner can count on. And with us guaranteeing every job with a $25,000 guarantee, it really takes a lot of stress off the homeowner. Okay, well, if you're still willing to let those guys work here, life happened, and that's usually what happens is nobody's perfect, and there's not a perfect contractor out there. But there's a lot of honest guys that have integrity that will make sure that the job gets done right. And that's who I'm looking for. The guy that just will do the right thing every single time. And there's a lot of good contractors out there. That's who we back.
Yeah. Now I assume you have a pretty thorough vetting process then.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah. I did get burnt once early in the game because they had someone else pose as the owner of the company. And the actual owner was kind of he was a thief. Nothing better to say than that. Sure. And so we invest now, and we pay $2,800 a month for FBI level software that we know who owns this company. We know where they worked before. We know who they're associated with, who their friends are. I mean, it's crazy how much information is in that kind of software, but we make sure that these are the guys who are on the up and up. They didn't shut down a business to start a new one and say, I've been in business for 15 years. So yes, we've gotten really good at the process, but the follow-up is just as important. So we call every homeowner back. If they've called through our system, we have a tracking number and we call every homeowner back to make sure they were taken care of. And it's just been a great system. But I think what really separated it more than anything is that the contractors got it. I mean, they understood that they were being separated into a group of other good contractors, and they felt safe. And so, when being the voice of truth between homeowners and contractors, there's been times that I've stepped in, and other contractors we've stepped in, saw that the job was great, and that it was the homeowner trying to work over the contractor. Unfortunately, there's just as many, if not more, unscrupulous homeowners. Well, I mean,
Sure.
just per capita, than there are contractors. And so it's nice being that person in the middle. And as soon as both sides see where the truth is, the contractor gets paid, or they end up fixing whatever the issue was, and we move on.
Thanks for sharing that. I was
Yeah.
really anxious to hear about your business model, and we wish you all success as you move across the country.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's going to be really neat.
You've mentioned your faith a few times. You grew up in church, and it's been a part of your life. How does that play out today in the business or just in your personal life?
Everything I've done from day one has literally been by what I felt led in my heart to do. In the last year, we've brought on real business people, because I never considered myself a business person. I actually even won an award one time for Entrepreneur of Excellence in the Fort Worth Business Magazine. I didn't submit myself for it. Somebody did, and they saw what I was doing and said, "This is it." So I won an award to be an entrepreneur. And on the way home, I was like, "Babe, I'm an entrepreneur." Like I was just like, I'm just doing what God wants me to do. And so it never dawned on me, like just never hit me that I'm an entrepreneur. Faith has been the only thing I've been able to lean on. I don't have business experience. All the decisions I made was based on what vision he gave me. And so that's why we have the only resource in America that has all the contractors backed by $25,000 guarantee, because no businessman would have ever tried to do that. But now I've got business people in, and they're laughing. They're like, "John, you've got to change your contracts." He goes, "You don't have anything legally binding in these contracts." I'm like, "Well, I know. I typed them up on Word 15 years ago." So it's funny, because when you see that we've managed to be successful for 14 years, and real business people come in here and go, "How did this happen?" And I'm like, it has to be God, because I can't take credit for any of it. And that's why it's just like, I can't even get on one of these podcasts and leave God out of it. I wish I could. I wish I was that smart. I really wish I could say, "Oh, well, after 20 years of doing all the business stuff and working my way to the top of the ladder, I started my own company." No, I was at the bottom of the ladder, about as far as you can go with no experience. So, I trust God.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. Anything fun on your life to-do list? I used to say bucket list, and people will be like, "I don't have a bucket list." So anything fun you want to just do sometime with you?
Oh, well, I mean,
Or you?
I think this is fun. I've always wanted to, like I said, I wanted to be remembered for doing something good, live every day, and touch as many lives as possible. And every opportunity that I get to inspire someone, encourage someone, because gosh, I've been at the bottom. I know what it feels like, and I know that God can change your life. And so every opportunity that I get to do that. So right now I'm having the most fun I think I've had in, I don't know when, being able to be on programs like yours and getting to, and just maybe there's somebody listening that needed to hear this. And so I think this is the funnest thing I could do.
Good. Well, I'm certainly glad we linked up. I said early on we didn't know each other, but we've had a couple conversations, and they've just been fun. They've kind of made my day, and I think this is going to be a really good one to put out there for people.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Imagine you could take a road trip today with anyone, living or deceased. Who would it be? Where would you go? What would you talk about?
Oh man, I mean the easy answer is to say Jesus, right? It's like
Yeah.
you tell me what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. That would be a great road trip. Thinking about this, I had a heart transplant in 2022.
Okay.
And it was I met the family. I would bring him and take him to go see his parents. That's what I would do, because when I went and met them, I knew that they would rather be hugging their son, but they loved me and they embraced me, and they're just wonderful people. I would love to be able to do that. I would love to have the conversation and tell him, "Hey, look, this is what I'm doing with your heart. We're touching the world." And funny, it's really cool. another God thing is their last name is Wachal. It's Wachal. And I looked it up, and that's Bohemian for watchman. And the young man's first name was Christian.
Wow.
So I quite literally have the heart of a Christian watchman. And so it further solidified that I am here for a purpose. His death is tragic. He was young. He was 28 years old.
Okay.
And but he didn't die in vain. His heart is powering me, and I get to go out and do something that will honor him. And I truly believe this, that every person that I do touch that ends up in heaven will be accredited to him. That's just the way I feel about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him, you probably might not be here.
I may not be here. Yeah.
So you got a pretty young heart. So God might keep you around a long time there, my friend.
He might. I'm here until my purpose is fulfilled. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
Could be today.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. So we're nearing the end of our virtual road trip, but leave my listeners with some advice. Call it life advice if you want. You're obviously living on a purpose. What would you tell other people how to do the same thing you've managed to do? You're not a business guy. You've said that.
Yeah.
But you're living a life on purpose.
Yeah.
What would you tell people?
There was one time I was laying in my bedroom, and this is before we ever made it or anything, and we were kind of living in the hood. And I was looking around at the walls, and I thought, if I can't be happy in this space, and it was a pretty normal room, then I'm not going to be happy anywhere. And, these are things that God taught me along the way, is if I can give any advice, stop looking at your past and where you failed and how you messed up. God is ready to forgive you for all of that. And stop looking into your future and trying to decide, is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? The best place for anyone, and I can speak from experience, is to put your faith in God. Also, completely resign your will to let him lead you to where he wants to take you. I'm not here for me. I didn't survive that heart attack for me. I'm here for a purpose, and that purpose is other people. So I can choose right now, in this moment, to be alive and grateful, or I can spend all my day long thinking, oh man, I really messed up back there. I'll never get over that divorce. I'll never get over that. I'll always be seen as this. I'm going to be, and then look in the future and go, I'll never be anything. And we self-talk that. So live in the now, trust in God, and believe for good.
Great advice, John. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So before we leave, how do people find you? They find the Good Contractors List.
Yes.
I think you have another little endeavor too. I read it on your profile there, something about home church. So if you want to speak to that too.
Sure. Well, I look at the Good Contractors List. It's not a business. Well, it is a business, but I look at it as a movement, and it really requires the work of everyone. We need homeowners that know good contractors that deserve to be recognized, that will refer them, and we can start building safe contractor communities anywhere in the nation. So if you're a homeowner and you don't trust contractors, and you may just know one that you trust, we start with them. Refer those contractors and let us help you start your safe contractor community. If you're a contractor listening to this and you're like, that's exactly the kind of community I want to be a part of, then go to it's called thegoodcontractorslist.com. Homeowners can hit the refer a contractor button, and contractors can hit the become a good contractor button. And it'll give all the details of what we're looking for. We can't just take anybody. So, you have to have a steady business. And then about the house church thing, and I don't want to go too much into detail. It's not too long,
Right.
But in 2019, much like the directory I've built with the Good Contractors List, God started talking to me about building a website for house churches. And I was like, this is 2019. I was like, why would anybody want to go to a house church when there's all these great churches on every corner? And then a few months later, the world shut down, and every church, just about, I mean, there were still ones that fought, but nearly every church in the world shut their doors.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if this is a sign for what may be to come, then I'll do it. Not really knowing much about the whole thought, I built a website called findahousechurch.com.
Okay.
People can go there. It's free. You can list your house church. It won't give your address. It actually will, just kind of like the Good Contractors List. They'll go on there and look for a house church, and it'll say this one's 6 miles, this one's 3.1 miles. And then you can read more about it. It's kind of like a social media platform almost.
Sure.
So that's what that is. And so really people just take it in their own hands to share the gospel in their homes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming on this virtual road trip.
Well, thanks for taking me down the road with you.
Thank you for tuning in to Dan the Road Trip Guy. I hope you enjoyed our journey today and the stories that were shared. If you have any thoughts or questions or stories of your own, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family and help us to spread the joy of road trips and great conversations. Until next time, keep driving, keep exploring, and keep having those amazing conversations. Safe travels. And remember, you can find me on the internet at dantheroadtripguy.com.